All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marf. Today we're going to talk about, of course, asteroids, one of the largest ever coming towards Earth, and how it relates to today's story. And then, of course, we have a ton going on right now with other countries. So we're going to talk about everything in the last 24 hours and more. Just stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Everyone's afraid to say something until we can say and say and say and say everyone's afraid to say something until we can say.
All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Just in case you forgot, you can also get notifications of exactly when the show goes live over at marfooglenews.com. Make sure to sign up for email alerts as well. We don't send them out often, and when we do, they are extremely important, especially if we knew that absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, if something was going to happen, we would let you know through that system. That is my SHTF system. Again, then also to let anyone new here know, we actually try to back up everything we say with, of course, a source. So again, if you go to marfooglenews.com, you will see today's thumbnail. Planet running out of water, of course, talking about the UN saying that we are heading into a crisis of water. We'll talk about that later. And then, of course, our last chapter. Once you click on this, you will see that we have every single document, every video, every article, every, of course, picture that we show you here today is going to be backed up on that website. Then, of course, you can follow along. You can go back retrospectively and check my work. You can also go ahead and read ahead on a second device. So again, make sure to go check that out. And then, of course, on the right side, there is all of the ways to support Marfoogle News and our staff. Again, make sure to go check out the bottom. There is web-only content. Stuff that is too hot for TV is all going to be down there. A really crazy one right there. The second one down, very interesting. Might want to check that out after the show. And then let's bring in my co-host / internet brother / is going to be on the phones tonight. Tonight is a live call-in show. The number is 224-400-MARF. Let's bring in Dex, who will be on the phones tonight and be co-hosting. Dex, how are you doing today, and what's going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So to get a hold of Dex, you will want to call 224-400-MARF and then, of course, press option 4 once you get to our phone tree. That will actually get you to live Dex. If you are watching a replay, of course, there is other options on that phone tree. Make sure to listen to all of the options all the way through. And then let's get right into it. We, of course, have teachers warned about TikTok slapping challenge. We've talked about some of the stupid challenges over the last week because, especially right now, there have been several. In fact, a couple kids died recently doing stupid challenges on TikTok. I don't understand, why people think that they can do illegal things, do stupid things, and if it's for TikTok, they think, oh, people are just going to understand. In fact, there's videos of people saying, well, it was for TikTok, so I thought it was okay. Okay. Teachers are being warned about a viral TikTok challenge that is encouraging students to slap teachers on camera. It says the California Teachers Association, or the CTA, issued a warning on Tuesday titled, quote, "When social media trends become assault." probably when it's telling you to physically punch somebody. It says the notice said that the challenge does not appear to have caught on widely yet, but noted that there was already one instance in South Carolina. The association referenced a Newsweek report about an elementary school student who struck a teacher in the back of the head. Slapping a teacher, regardless of whether it results in injury and assault and battery, is completely unacceptable and illegal. Recording in a classroom or on school property without permission is illegal, the notice said. If you know anybody that has been affected by that challenge, or if you have a video that you want to send us of that actually happening, we would love to show that. So again, I think that, they need to call out these, idiots that basically do these stupid things on these social media platforms, and why? So here's the thing. People like that won't get deleted. They'll do it over and over and over and over and over again. But yet if you share your true opinion, you will get knocked off of any platform. It's pretty crazy to me. Again, remember the number is 224-400-MARF, and that is, again, 224-400-6273. Make sure to press option 4 if you want to get through. Get in early. Pentagon warns of national security fallout from debt ceiling crisis. If the United States defaults, it would undermine the economic strength on which our national security rests. That was, of course, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a statement Wednesday morning. It says the threat of the U.S. government defaulting on its loans became real enough Wednesday for the Pentagon to wade into the political morass, warning Congress that a failure to act would harm America's ability to defend itself and take care of its troops. It says, quote, if the United States defaults, it would undermine the economic strength on which our national security rests. It said it would also seriously harm our service members and their families because as secretary, I would have no authority or ability to ensure that our service members, civilians, or contractors would be paid in full or even on time. So, first of all, a lot of people are looking at this and saying that, well, this is kind of weird. What if all of this stuff lines up at the same time where we have already a weakened military because a lot of military are leaving because of certain things they do not want to do. And then, of course, you have on top of that, if this does come to pass and they don't get paid or something like that happens, that would even further weaken our military. Not to mention you have, of course, they just swept through the military in almost all branches, looking for anybody that has, political views that don't really match up with what they're going for right now. Our military, I think, is, it's always going to be extremely powerful because it's the United States military, but it is definitely the weakest out of the last 5 years, I would say. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. It says the department may not be able to dole out benefits to 2.4 million military veterans, nor issue payments to federal contractors, Austin said. America's defaulting on its loans would undermine the international reputation, he added, as a reliable and trustworthy economic and national security partner. Essentially, if we don't if we can't even pay our military, that looks really, 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 really bad. We already are dealing, most people are forgetting about Afghanistan already. Most people, the average person, just forgets about this kind of stuff. Now, I know that most of the people in my audience, you won't forget it. But you do realize the news cycle, everybody will be all riled up about something. People that normally don't speak on issues, when they want you to, they will do something and push it so hard in the news that even people that don't talk about this kind of stuff will mention it. I'll even see YouTube channels that do reviews, start off by going, I normally wouldn't do this, but I need to start off and just tell you it's absolutely horrible what's going on in this and this country. And it's because they're jumping on the bandwagon and trying to look like they're in on it, and they want, they care. Most people actually don't, actually care. They're just trying to look like they care. I will not forget Afghanistan. I will not forget Beirut. I will not forget a ton of different events that have happened over the years. Because guess what? When you go back to them and when you go 5 years in advance or 10 years in advance, you can look back at different events and go, hold up, this looks a lot like it was all, part of some sort of timeline where everything was done in order. Like it led up to something that we saw coming. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the chat below. Jillian's Gems, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for the massive support early on in the show. I do want to also shout out the Flying Turtle Japan. I did not see you yesterday, and at the end of the show, you did a donation from Japan. So thank you so much, the Flying Turtle Japan. I appreciate that. Don Sowersby, another one that I missed last night, and Catherine Wilson says, so blessed by your show, keeping us in the know. And then Joseph, I believe I did get you, though. It says, a video about that group of ships. Yes, I did. And then Toad Ali, awesome. Thank you for subscribing. Jillian's Gems, thank you for popping in before the show again. And then Janet Petrozel, also, thank you for pledging on Patreon right before the show. That's really awesome. And then Anthony Man says, Mass Graves. And then Winston Dupree, I missed you as well. I don't know how I missed all you guys in the shout show yesterday, but thank you, everybody that has supported our show and supported our independent, everything that we've done has been without a multi-channel network and without a multi-billion-dollar company. It has had you as the backbone and a bunch of yellow or red videos. So thank you so much to everybody that supports. And then the Navy's last conventionally powered aircraft carriers have been sold for literal pennies. And you'll be surprised a couple of the names in here. It says the divestment of the former USS Kitty Hawk and USS John F. Kennedy marks the final end of the historic era for the U.S. Navy. It says the U.S. Navy has finally sold off what remains of the former aircraft carriers USS Kitty Hawk and USS John F. Kennedy for scrap, letting them go for 1 cent each. It says the service decommissioned both of these ships more than a decade ago, but had kept them in mothballs as various groups attempted to secure them and turn them into museums. And were even some brief discussions about returning Kitty Hawk to active duty. Okay, so first of all, the brief discussions about bringing Kitty Hawk back to active duty, something is definitely going on here. We have completely and utterly boosted all of our production, and it's not being talked about as far as China is too. But I think that some of our boards and committees looked at what China was doing and said, holy crap, why did our administration not see this? Why haven't we been building since day one? The last president saw it, and there was actual documents that showed that the previous administration before that, Obama, he actually dropped all this stuff. He reduced our military. He was cutting everything like it was going to be world peace. It just so happens that he had a whole lot of connections with the same couple of ex-presidents before him, and there was all sorts of weird stuff going on. And then now those same people are tied with the same stuff that is happening today. In fact, they are ingrained in almost everything that is happening right now. So it's just kind of strange that it was almost like our military was, purposely reduced and purposely kind of had the rug pulled from under it. That's just my opinion. Again, that's not something that, that's something that you all can judge for yourself. If you look back and all of the executive orders that were signed, it was kind of weird, actually. But at the time, it was so peaceful, and we just took the leader of the T group and dumped him off in the ocean with no pictures or no evidence, and everything was just peachy keen. Because we didn't want a spot for a martyr, right? News emerged just recently that International Shipbreaking Limited, a subsidiary of EMR Group situated in Brownsville, Texas, on the Gulf of Mexico, had secured a deal with the Navy to take the carriers for a total of 2 cents. If that doesn't sound shady at all, but they do these things like when you buy a car from a family member for $1, but you can't gift it because it's already been gifted. It says Naval Sea Systems Command, or NAVSEA, first announced that it was actively looking for a contractor to tow away both ships and break them up last year. Imagine that, buying 2 aircraft carriers for 2 cents, not even $1. It says, I've personally inspected her, so I know that she's in good shape for towing. Chris Green, a senior manager at International Shipbreaking, told the Brownsville Herald newspaper, referring to the ex-Kitty Hawk in March. The Navy announced that it had put that vessel, which it had decommissioned in 2009, into a dry dock at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. That's, of course, here over in Washington. It says the intermediate maintenance facility in Bremerton, Washington, in order to remove marine growth from the hull as a part of the process of getting it ready to be scrapped. Work to get the ship ready to leave for Brownsville is expected to begin next week. One thing that I don't get is why they are not actually turning these into museums, or why, and what do they do when they actually scrap it? Do we need the metal for that? Or do we need to scrap this right now? As far as like, do we need all of that metal? Is there a reason why they are scrapping it rather than doing a museum? Is it just a money thing? I don't know. If you remember WW2, we of course had metal shortages, so they started grabbing anything and everything. In fact, we changed around how our actual change, like our quarters and our dimes and our nickels, and everything was made differently because they were short of actual metals, so they ended up making the change out of different things temporarily so they could end up using that steel or that metal. If you know more about that, make sure to put it in the chat and teach all of the other Foogles. I'm not an expert, but I do know that happens. So I wonder if they just need the steel right now, or where does this metal go? Does it go back to that company? Did they really truly sell it for 2 cents, or is this some sort of backdoor deal where they buy it for 2 cents, they do this job, and they end up getting a contract down the road? Again, selling these 2 ships, which cost relatively huge sums of money to build, for literal pennies may seem shocking, but often the Navy is the one paying millions more for contractors to take decommissioned vessels away for scrapping, which can be a very complex affair. For instance, the service is looking at a bill of more than $1.5 billion to dismantle the former USS Enterprise, its first nuclear-powered supercarrier. The total estimated cost to dispose of the hulk of the ex-USS Bonhomme Richard, a Wasp-class amphibious assault ship, was ravaged by a massive fire last year, which that was part of that weird Chinese back and forth. If you remember, their amphibious assault ship magically caught fire in port. For 5 days it burned. And then our amphibious assault carrier, very specific kind of ship, caught fire in port for 5 days, and they said it was a TikToker. It says it was pegged at more modest $30 million. So I could understand where the $30 million, I don't even know how that actually costs that much for something that's not nuclear. I don't know what goes into containing the actual nuclear ships. I would assume most of the cost of that is for lifetime storage of whatever the heck is in it. But it's like, couldn't they recycle that, or couldn't they turn that into something else? Couldn't they park it on a dock and actually create power for something else? It doesn't seem, that just seems like a really high number. Billion. That's not millions. I understand these things are big, but if you're talking about scrapping, chopping it up, they would actually get money off of the metal. I think the main cost would be that nuclear thing. Do they have to give the weapons back, or are the weapons already taken off? What do you actually get for, when you buy a decommissioned military vessel like that? Museums usually get the guns, but they're, somehow destroyed or they don't work. Seems odd to me. Something just seems off. If I'm crazy, let me know in the comments below. And then, of course, UN agency warns of a looming global water crisis. Now, it says climate change is poised to result in a worldwide water crisis, and international institutions and governments have not done enough to prepare, according to a report released Tuesday by the World Meteorological Organization, or WMO. A report determined that as of 2018, some 3.6 billion people did not have sufficient access to water, at least 1 month every year. This number will surpass 5 billion by 2050, according to the report. Much of the crisis can be attributed to the rapid reduction of terrestrial water. It says, which includes ice and snowpack. Terrestrial storage has fallen at an annual rate of 1 centimeter, which much of the loss occurring in the Antarctica and Greenland. It says risks have grown beyond water shortage loss. According to the research, flooding-related disasters have spiked by 134% in the last 2 decades, with Asia seeing the biggest death tolls and economic losses. Droughts, meanwhile, have increased by 29% since the beginning of the century, with the bulk of the drought-related deaths occurring in Africa. This past year has seen a continuation of extreme water-related events. Across Asia, extreme rainfall caused massive flooding in Japan, China, Indonesia, Nepal, Peru, and India. WMO Secretary General Patiri Talas said in a statement, "Millions of people were displaced and hundreds were killed." But it is not just in the developing world that flooding has led to major disruption. Catastrophic flooding in Europe led to hundreds of deaths and widespread damage. The analysis found that a total of 107 countries behind schedule of the United Nations goals for sustainable management and water and sanitation, over 2 billion people live in countries that do not have proper access to safe drinking water. That's, of course, according to the WMO. 75 countries have below average water efficiency levels, and current progress on water efficiency would need to quadruple to reach global targets by the end of the decade. Now, again, the end of the decade is 2030. There's a certain agenda that is attached to this. And this certain agenda, this is going to be pushed very hard. They're going to say that, all of this is happening so fast and we're going to run out of this, and there's going to be the necessity for everyone to change ways, or they'll pass bills, they'll pass laws, things that will directly affect you, but it's for the good of the earth. That is my prediction on this, as far as they're already setting up for extreme water events. Remember, they also said by 2030 that the moon's wobble will actually cause massive, catastrophic floods around the world. That was not from like the Sun or the Post. That was from actual scientific journals saying that the moon's wobble will cause catastrophic floods, or possibly flooding that could wipe out hundreds of thousands of people. That was the possibility on top of what they already say is a guaranteed, which is a lot of flooding. So again, that is it all lines up to 2025 and 2030. There's kind of 2 dates there that are really, really weird. Of course, now so many things have moved so fast. Just since 2019 to 2021, we are in a different planet. In 2 years, our entire planet, and I mean every country in the world besides 5, and those 5 are now falling in line because their leaders were all taken out, all of them. All of the countries of the world are doing something together. On the other hand, publicly, they're showing us that we are going to get in a fight with a couple of them, that they are basically preparing for this massive conflict, a massive war. So you can theorize all day about what is above and above and above and above, what we are seeing. But it's pretty clear what is happening right now. Everything is being reset, and everything is changing, and things are going to change so fast that I don't think people are going to be ready for it. As far as when I mean change, I mean severe change, and I mean like all of us are going to be changing. Let's see, we've got a ton of people here. Julie Evans, Pure Blood, Bones, howdy, what's going on? And then Karake, Amber Tabelsi, Randall Hill, Carol McLean says, all leading to the Deagle Report. So a lot of people do not know that the Deagle Report was done by Edwin J. Deagle, And, a lot of people don't actually take that very seriously. I did, and not because it was... the reason I did is because once we did research into who Edwin J. Deagle was, it's pretty scary. He worked for multiple administrations. He was personal friends with presidents. He was an expert. His specific niche was doing predictions and scientific data and looking at the numbers and predicting things. He took in a lot of things into effect, but he took data from around the world, including from the 3-letter agencies that we've all been dealing with for the last 2 years. He took data from everything. Some would say that some of his previous posts that are now, because again, Edwin J. Deagle died, and the website kind of got put up, but it was different. People had archived all of the previous posts, not just the population post that basically said that the U.S. would somehow, by 2025, lose 2/3 of its population. It would go from something over 300 million people in population down to about 100 million people. So 2/3 of us would somehow perish, right? What's really freaky to me is that he was on the inside. He was in multiple administrations, and that was his specialty. So I do take that Deagle. I do take it to account, or I take it in account, because of everything that I know about Edwin J. Deagle, or Edwin Deagle Jr. It's freaky. It's scary. There are 197 million in America. Osiris Orion, I get what you're saying, but that would be pretty savage. I don't think that, how would they delete all of them? Legion is in motion. B growing stuff, or who was that? Silver Bullet. It's been in motion for a long time. Able-bodied says he is legit for sure. Yeah. Edwin Deagle was in on it. He was definitely had some crazy stuff going on. God has the final say. Christine K. I actually like that. I love that, actually. Here's the thing. We have inner debates, and I have inner debates and stuff. I want people to know that people shouldn't be scared of this stuff. People should know what's coming. Anybody can survive a storm as long as they, if you know a storm is coming a week in advance, then you get prepared. You board up your windows. You go down to your basement and you ride it out. That's all that this is. I hope that everything can be something to be rided out. But if you do not see the storm coming and you're sitting in your living room when a tree flies through your window at 200 miles per hour, then you have no chance. Again, it's all about preparing and knowing what's coming. Artemis Prime says knowledge is power. It is. People should not be scared or to call it fear this or fear that. That's BS, because if you wouldn't be afraid. If you have gear, if you have the gadgets, if you have the books, if you have the stuff, then you're not afraid. If you have food, you're fed well. If you have water, you're not thirsty. It's not that hard. As far as like a full-blown conflict with China and Russia, if there is a chance, again, there is a chance. Like people sugarcoat it. But if we got invaded here in the U.S. and if they got invaded in Australia, if they got invaded in Europe, which they have before, people think that it's so far away. It's like we're just a little bit too far out from WW2 that nobody remembers that this was a real thing, where half of the planet was in this battle. And I mean, really, the whole planet was in the battle, but half of the planet has scars still from those times. And people think that we're just going to keep having these small proxy conflicts forever. That, it's always just going to be in some Mideastern town, and it's only going to affect somebody else somewhere else. That's a stupid way to think. The United States is not invincible. In fact, if you think about it, how many people have we How many places have we gone in and just said, we're in charge of this, we're in charge of that, we're in charge of this? And now we're at our weakest. Do you think that nobody's going to take advantage of that? Why do you think that we are drilling to land on our highways with multiple kinds of planes? It's because they are same with Taiwan. They're expecting a first strike. In fact, this will probably, if we do get in a first strike scenario, it would be China or Russia striking us first, because they would have to. If there's a 7-foot guy, and this is, if there's a 7-foot guy, and let's say, there's a 7-foot guy in high school and he's challenged you to a fight at 3:00 in front of the whole school. Well, maybe if you're really going to beat him, you might want to catch him while he's still taunting and punch him right in the jaw. I will stick to my opinion. I don't think there's not many people here that don't believe that something big is coming, but we really have a war on our hands. And then we have other things all lining up at the same time. We don't know why all of this is happening, but I do know this. If all of us are on the same page, at least in spirit, and we are all pushing each other up, and we're helping each other figure out our own theories. If your theory is completely opposite of mine, I will help you figure out your theory. But again, last night we had a lot of people in chat, trying to argue and whatever else. You shouldn't be arguing. If you want to conversate and say, I believe this, I believe that, somebody says that, oh, that's cool, you believe that, I believe this, that's one thing. But for people to just be like, you're stupid, this and that, that's not welcome in our chat. We always give people multiple chances, but again, at the same time, to purposely be doing that to, try to get at people, that's not okay either. So I hope everybody realizes, we're really close right now. People need to get their stuff together. Let's get over to the phones. We have a couple people lined up here. Let me get over again. Make sure to call in at the number 2244-00-MARF. Again, that's 2244-00-MARF. I'm going to go over to, of course, this other article here in just a second. With the United Nations and everything else, they're telling us that all of this is happening. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have to change our ways. Let's do Anthony, first-time caller, and then we will hit dozens of California school children still trapped in Afghanistan. Pretty crazy stuff. Dex, let's get Anthony on. And then, it looks like Anthony's trying to get in here. Before I go there, make sure to go over and check these guys out. If you do not have food, water, and supplies, generators, battery banks, all that kind of stuff, you can always go through My Patriot Supply. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get a discount for a lot of different things there. And now, again, they have $100 off on 3 months supply of food. Again, we believe that this is something that will actually help people survive through just regular disasters on top of anything big that will happen. If you have a tornado, a power outage, a freeze, you should have emergency blankets. Right now it's winter. Your emergency prep should change year round. So now it's winter. If your power goes out, how much are you dependent on that? Do you have a fireplace, or do you dependent on your power to actually keep yourself warm? Do you have enough warm clothes? Again, you can go over and get the essentials of life, including food that has incredibly long-term shelf life, so you can keep it for years and actually stock up. You can get iodine pills over there. You can get pretty much anything and everything, including water filtration if you have to take water from a creek or from a roof or wherever you have to get it after SHTF happens. Again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep. It's again, marfooglenews.com/prep. That helps the channel at the same time as getting yourself a discount. I think it's a win-win for everybody. All right, Dex, do we have Anthony on the phone?
Hey, Adam, we're having difficulty, so let's try the next caller and see if we can get them on.
Okay,
Catherine.
That works for me. All right, let's get Catherine, another first-time caller. Oh, that is creepy. Okay, I don't even want to read the description of this call because it applies directly to me. And then thank you, Catherine Wilson, over in the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Scooby-Doo Do-Right. Prayers for all of the Foogle fam. Quantum Cat. Vegas Wonder is yucky. Meatpuppet07 says, soon we will experience 7 years of hell on Earth. According to the Bible, it depends. Some say that volcanic sound sounded like a trumpet. Like the first trumpet. Divine 1122, thank you. Quantum Cat again, thank you. Jammer One, I'm 20 months on D-Live. Are you? Are you 20 months part of the Mafia? I guess I didn't realize we'd been on that long.
And Adam, Catherine is live.
All right, Catherine, you are live on Marfoogle News. What is going on?
Good evening, Adam. Yeah, I had a dream approximately about 8 years ago, and it was of a Chinese invasion. I've thought of it so many times. It wasn't one of those dreams that was just crazy and you forget about it. But it was standing on the shoreline, in which later I said, well, that was Seattle. You know, I could tell that was Seattle. And there's these military, all these Navy ships coming through, and I could see an island across from where I was standing, so I knew it was like a waterway, not a bay. And I saw planes going across, and I saw people running around, and behind me were these office buildings, high rises, and I knew then it was Chinese. And 8 years ago, you didn't think like that. You didn't think China was a threat or anything like that. And I'm standing there, and I'm seeing all these ships going by, these Navy ships, planes, and I knew what it was. And then I can hear some people behind me talking. They're rushing out of the buildings. They're executives that were working in these office buildings right on the water. And I could hear them talking, and they were coming out in they were executives, men and women, and I heard this one woman say, well, they wanted to hurry up and get over to the Chinese side to deliver what they had to offer to the Chinese as far as information and things like that. So they were going to trade sides right away. They were already thinking that. And I'm like, wow, that's why would they do that? And then all of a sudden I see this man, and he has like a station wagon or an SUV, and he's getting his kids inside as quickly as possible to try and get out of there. And then all of a sudden, I think I had been captured or something by an enemy, and they knew of my abilities because I'm an artist and a craftsman. I could build things, and they wanted me to build these bunks for all the captives and people that would be in the camps. And I'm in there, and I going, how do they know what I can do, So they show me like this prototype of this bunk, and it was just like wood that everybody was going to have to sleep on. And I got the sense that it was a very large place, but I could only focus on the area in which I was in. So it had like these wooden slats, and it was maybe the size of a cot. They wanted me to build a bunch of them. I don't know if I built the prototype or they showed me the prototype. And so I thought to myself, no way am I going to do this. I'm not going to be part of this. And then I woke up. And then later on in the dream, later on in the day, I said, that was Seattle. And then I told my son when I woke up, I told him my dream. And then again, when China started kind of being more threatening and everything, I said, Jamin, that was my dream. That was my son. And I said, that's what this is. That's what they were going to do. And thinking about it for all these years, and I'd call in and share my dream.
That's just, by the way, if have you ever been to Seattle ever?
I was in SeaTac, but never in Seattle, and then I was up in like Bremerton, up in that area and I went across the Puget Sound in that area because I had a friend up in Bellingham. So it kind of looked like that. So that's why I recognized it, because you could see the island. It wasn't too far away where I was looking across where these ships were going in. So I recognized it as it looked like that area I had been in.
Well, and also because I ask if anybody is familiar with Seattle, there's of course Lake Union as well, which is kind of in from the actual Puget Sound, but then it's a smaller lake. That's where Amazon and a lot of these tech companies are, and they are, a lot of the really hipster companies are actually on the water, but also you have down on the waterfront.
I didn't know that.
I
didn't know that, but that's what was behind me. These executives, these people were behind me, and they were going to sell out to them to ingratiate themselves to what was coming in. And I went, wow, they're just going to they're going to make sure that they're okay. So no, I'm not familiar. I've been there once, but I'm not familiar with it.
Well, you also have, of course, down on the waterfront, the actual waterfront where Puget Sound is, you have all of the indie companies. And in fact, that just the other day I was talking about that company that basically cut the CEO's salary to $70,000 so he could pay every one of his employees $70,000. That company and all these other companies like Realtek and all of these are on the actual waterfront, down past the Pike Place Market and then down past the other way. So it kind of creeps me out thinking that they're, just looking out into Puget Sound and seeing Chinese ships, especially right now.
Also in the dream that the people coming out of the offices, the high-rises, also had very important papers with them that they're trying to shuffle together and get into their briefcases as they were trying to get out of there to go over to the other side. That was another part I left out, that they were very important papers they had with them.
Well, that is extremely creepy, Catherine. But again, that's weird. 8 years ago, yeah, of course, China wasn't our best friend, but it wasn't the same as it is now. It was definitely not pushed in almost every form of media that China is basically, our biggest adversary right now. In fact, it was only about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago that it was really...
feeling of threat at the time that I would have a dream like this, because there wasn't anything that would provoke this kind of dream at the time.
Well, again, thank you for calling in and sharing that with us. I do have a couple dreams that are kind of similar in the Wallingford neighborhood, but I've always one of them was kind of a Red Dawn thing, but Red Dawn, the movie, was shot there. So I didn't know if that was my brain subconsciously kind of remembering that part of the movie. And since I knew that area personally, and I've, used to ride my bike there, I wondered if it was because of that. But if you're not somebody who actually kind of live downtown,
well, no,
that's
sooner or
weird.
later.
Go ahead.
I said if you see the dream playing out in front of you, you'll know, was it just something because you were there, or because something was it, prophecy, like kind of a thing, like you were seeing into something into the future. So you'll know sooner or later.
Well, I just recently I had it was more of it wasn't less of a deja vu. It was about the whole Cuba, this whole Cuba laser thing that is making people have headaches. I forget what it's called, but it's a sonic weapon that's been used. And I just had a moment when they were covering it and they were talking about it. We talked about it on the show. I had a dream 10 years ago about that, and about them specifically talking about Cuba and a sonic weapon and how it was giving everybody headaches. And there's some things that I think that people are in tune with. Who knows though? That's why I think a lot of people think that we're possibly in a matrix, that there was a glitch in the matrix, or that some people are prophetic. There is something there. People that just go poo-poo on deja vu or on the glitch in the matrix or prophetic thoughts, I don't think are really truly awake. Because there's a lot of weird stuff that
I
happens.
think God does warn us of things. That's for sure.
Well, what the scientists still don't have a straight up answer on what dreams are. So, we could be in a different universe every time we go to sleep, or we could be in the true universe every time we go to sleep, or we could be in heaven when we go to sleep. You don't know.
May I add that there was no violence in the dream. It was just this silent takeover.
Well, you're witnessing it. Well, thank you, Catherine, for calling in, and I appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right, you have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Be safe. That's such a awesome account of a dream. You guys know that I've had several end-of-the-world dreams, and that's why I got my first tattoo, which was Armageddon. Anybody that can read kanji or Mandarin can see that it says Armageddon and Destiny. Depends on which way you flip it. Because I was having extremely vivid dreams about it. Every different way. I mean, if anything, if you talk to my sisters that I talked to when I was 18, I'm 35 now. When I was 18, I was talking about this stuff. And my sisters, they would get all, I think something is happening. Now, one of my sisters, the hippie, she's an awesome chick. She remembered what I said back then, and now she actually watches. So she'll pop in from time to time. Lady Liberty, not the same Lady Liberty that's on Edge of Wonder. She's a less famous sister. She's Lady Liberty 03. Sometimes she pops into chat. But ask her what I was saying when I was 18. So I think some of us are meant to do what we were destined to do. It's very weird. Dozens of California school children still trapped in Afghanistan by State Department mom. It says at least 41 elementary school students from the San Juan Unified School District remain trapped in Afghanistan, the Sacramento Bee reported on Wednesday, and getting them out is proving an impossible task. The representative Daryl Issa's D out of California says it is continually pressing the Bee administration, State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and even the White House to assist in their rescue. San Juan Unified School District officials last week said 41 students were trapped there, and it says a sharp increase from the 24 or so the district had previously identified. Of the 41 children, 3 were evacuated over the weekend from the war-torn country but remain overseas. It says that Sacramento City Unified officials last week said that 8 students are stranded in Afghanistan. Initially, they'd identified just one family who the Sacramento Bee interviewed. Attendance records as the school year has progressed showed more students were missing, and staff traced their whereabouts to the country. So why are elementary school kids in Afghanistan? This isn't a field trip. I guess my question is, why are they there in the first place? Were they there with parents that were, are they there with a family? It's not like you don't do, I guess it could be a Christian school. Dex, do you have any idea why all of these elementary school kids are there?
I thought when we first heard about this, they were on a mission. And so it was probably something with one of the churches there. That would be my guess. I could be wrong. I don't know the actual details. That was just what we originally heard.
I could see like high
that would
school,
make sense.
Like high school kids, or doing a holy, or something, with charity, or doing missionary work. I could see that. But elementary school kids, that sounds really strange. Is this something just to get everybody back on it? I don't know. And then this is okay. So if you wake up, you'll see the whole world is pushing back, and it's I think it's bigger than anybody knows. It says French radical surges with talk of arming citizens, civil war. It says media pundit Eric Zemmour is emerging as one of the most popular French presidential candidates as he talks about gun rights, banning immigration, and civil conflict. And he hasn't even confirmed he's running. It says Zemmour would get 17% of votes in the first round of the on April 10th, effectively knocking out nationalist candidate Marine Le Pen, who'd win about 15%, as well as the center-right candidate, according to a poll by Harris Interactive for Challenges magazine. Emmanuel Macron would get 24%. So they're still saying that he would win, but that he wouldn't. So wait,
I wonder how good the polls are over there if they compare to like the way they are here.
So one of the things, yeah, exactly. Like, I wonder what company they use. If it starts with a D and ends with a rat or minions. If you have minion in your name, it's kind of evil, isn't it? So if you didn't see some of the marches that were in France, they're talking about a French Revolution again. And I wouldn't put it past. There are so many different countries that are getting kind of pushed and prodded through just all of this. We're seeing so much dismay in the world. When are we going to see the next kind of big clash? Chasing Media says catastrophic flooding occurring in Birmingham, Alabama region. For your information, Dex, could we pull up Birmingham, Alabama, and see what the flooding was like? I didn't see that. And then Catherine Wilson, thank you so much. And then Jillian Gems, again, thank you, and thank you. Singapore patrol robots blast warnings at people engaging in undesirable social behavior. So Singapore puts RoboCop on the streets. Patrol bots blast warnings at people engaging in undesirable social behaviors, including standing too close together, sparking concerns about citizen privacy. It says Singapore is trialing patrol robots that blast warning at people engaging, of course, in close contact, adding an arsenal of surveillance technology in the tightly controlled city-state that is fueling privacy concerns. The government's latest surveillance devices are dubbed Xavier. No joke. Like Xavier from X-Men that can read minds and do all that, right? And can see anybody everywhere. It says, and issue warnings to the public for certain behaviors. Not to mention he kind of rolls around in an electric chair. So this is like a robot that reads minds and surveils everybody with kind of, I'm sure, right? They were going for something here. It says this includes smoking in prohibited areas, improperly parking bicycles, and breaching the distancing rules. So this sounds a lot like China. This sounds a lot like the social credit score. It says Singapore is frequently criticized for curbing civil liberties, and people are accustomed to tight controls, but there is still growing unease of intrusive tech. Like that is, look at it. It's literally called Xavier. That is so crazy. We talked about the Chinese credit score and how if you park, that was an exact example. If you misplace a bike, if you park a bike in the wrong spot, that can put down your credit score. If your social credit score goes too low, you can't buy plane tickets or train tickets. You can't travel. It's a straight up episode of Black Mirror. This is super, super creepy. It says the government's latest surveillance devices are robots on wheels with 7 cameras that issue warnings to people and detect undesirable social behavior. Look at this. It even has, it can detect the following: smoking in prohibited areas, illegal hawking. So if you're selling something, or say, hey, get your newspaper here. Improperly parked bicycle within HDB hub, congregation of more than 5 people, motorized activity or active mobility devices, and motorcycles on footpaths. And then robots on wheels are equipped with 7 cameras. During a recent patrol, one of the Xavier robots wove its way through the housing estate and stopped in front of a group of elderly residents watching a chess match. It said, please keep 1 meter distancing. Please keep to 5 persons per group. A robotic voice blared out as a camera on top of the machine trained its gaze on them. During the 3-week trial in September, 2 robots were deployed to patrol the housing estate and a shopping center. It reminds me of RoboCop, said Franny Teo, a 35-year-old research assistant who was walking through the mall. It brings to mind dystopian world of robots. I'm just a bit hesitant about that kind of concept, she added. This is our future, people, so don't think this is in Singapore, but this is going to be here. This is going to be in Florida. This is going to be in Washington. This is going to be in Texas. And believe me, these will be in the all of the states. They'll have those robot dogs from Boston Dynamics everywhere. It's real freaky stuff. We'll have it probably replace half of the police patrols, because guess what? They don't want humans working for a reasonable wage. They want them working at Walmart, greeting people. It says bizarre footage shows pedestrians running for cover as drones begin falling from the sky in China. Dex, I'm going to pull you in on this one. I know that, again, you've got everybody lined up on the phones. What the hell is this? It says terrified drone watchers run for cover as machines plunge from the sky during botched Chinese light show. Brightly lit flying machines descending from the sky as people below scatter in panic is the sort of scene you might expect from a sci-fi film. However, the pedestrians seen running in fear in this video aren't escaping from invading aliens. Instead, they are running from falling drones. The bizarre footage taken from the Chinese city of Zhangzhou shows the machines lit up with bright blue lights plummeting from the sky to the streets below. Screams and shouts can be heard as one by one the drones begin falling from the sky. Eventually, people begin to run for cover as the sound of drones smashing into the ground can be heard in the background. Other drones begin to descend slowly, seemingly still under control from their operators. So it says the bizarre footage taken from the Chinese city of Zhangzhou shows the machines lit up with blue lights plummeting from the sky to the streets below. Screams and shouts can be heard in the background. Look at how many there were. Okay, so I'm so confused about this. Was this for an event? Were they doing? Is this normal in this city?
They were doing a special event, and they were running all of these drones to light up the sky as part of the celebration. And it had a failure, and they literally were falling from the sky and hitting people. And I think that they're right now declaring it a human error, but they still were. It was under investigation as to what possibly could have happened and caused them to fall.
No, but how these drones were, like, were these all piloted drones, all working in Coruscant, or did they have it set up so one person would be in control of 10 drones and they all do the same things? Is there an algorithm that does it for them? Because we've seen that at like TED Talk, the new technology that's out. You put in a program or you program something, but why would they all fall out of the sky like that? Do we have a spy there that has some sort of technology that jammed it and knocked them out of the sky to show that we can knock their drones out? Or was it some, rogue group that was testing how to knock drones out of the sky? Or was it just simply an error? The new drones, especially DJI drones, that I know that this probably wasn't DJI, it was probably a different kind of advanced drone, but DJIs are almost impossible to just fall out of the sky like that.
Well, last year in May, they were running 17 drones for some celebration, and they crashed. And later, an investigation found that someone was using drone jammers because it was a rival company that was furious, I guess, that they had not been picked. So they jammed those drones. So they're still trying to determine what happened with this one. Of course, they're currently saying human error, but we'll find out, I guess.
Wow. So this could have been a hack by one of the companies. They just, again, I know that was a previous one, but why would this happen? Open House Texas says Americans have been coming out against the President B in the streets, but media is blocking it all out. Thanks for all you guys do. I do see some, but it's not to the level that other countries are just in mass. Brazil was one of the best examples, and I say best, I mean best. Chasing media, catastrophic flooding occurring in Birmingham. Dex, did you end up seeing anything about Birmingham? Birmingham, Alabama.
I'm looking.
And then we're going to get to our next caller. First, a message from Tom Homan, former ICE director.
My name is Tom Homan. I'm the former ICE director under President Donald Trump, and I'm here to ask America to wake up. You can protect yourself, and at the same time protect this great nation. The threat of electromagnetic pulse is real. EMP. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a matter of life and death. I recently partnered with a Midwest company, veteran-owned, that has developed a device you can hook up to your home or your vehicle to protect you against an EMP. I highly encourage you to go to EMPshield.com and research this device. Again, it will protect you, in the long term, protect this great nation. Thank you.
So another reason we play that clip is it shows how it's mounted into the engine block. You can get a device from EMP Shield, again, who has now worked with DHS, Department of Homeland Security. They've worked with government agencies. They have worked with DOD. They are now working with the DEMSO team, helping protect the Texas grid. But you can protect yourself. So if the government and the military are actually outfitting all of their buildings with an item, then you might want to look at that and go, okay, well, then why aren't we? Again, they're going to protect themselves. When something goes down, those are the buildings that are going to stay up and running. Whereas civilians usually don't. The smart people will have their generators covered. They will have their cars covered. So if an EMP happens, or when a Carrington level event happens, again, that happens every 150 years. We're at 160 years, so we're overdue. When the next Carrington level event happens, and if it does knock out our entire grid, then again, of course, you will still have a car to drive home, or you will still have a generator to power your home, or you will still have your devices in your home that were wired into it. There are devices for pretty much everything. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device, and that stacks on top of any sale they are currently doing. Again, that's $50 off per device, and you help the channel and support a veteran-owned business and 100% American-made product. Again, go over and check it out. It's marfooglenews.com/EMP. And then, Dex, let's get our next call on, and then we'll talk about Idaho Lieutenant Governor tries to send National Guard to border while governor is away and bans mandate. Lots of battle. It's like the country is split right down the middle. Only not. Actually split into scattered chunks.
That died of COVID.
Anthony is...
Hold on. No, sorry about that. There's some sort of... There we go. Sorry about that. There was audio playing.
Adam, I was just saying Anthony is now live.
Okay, Anthony, you are live on Marfoogle News. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say that I really like your channel, and I'm a Foogle fan member.
Well, thank you. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm from Colorado, and I just there's a certain restriction on people that won't get a certain thing on organ transplants, and I don't know much about it, but I just heard about it today, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on that, or if you have even heard of that. Yeah.
So wait. You can't give or you can't accept. So
You can't receive it. There was actually a woman who is approved already to get a I guess a transplant, but you can't. They won't give it to her unless she gets a certain, you know what? A certain. You know what I mean, don't you?
Well, yeah. No. I think we all do. So what I don't understand, that doesn't make too much sense to me at all. I and even though I don't agree with it, I see the logic in if somebody was to give their something to somebody else. I barely see that, but I see that would make more sense. But I think it makes absolutely zero sense to require somebody to do that to get one, because there's a slight chance that we know about that you know what I mean? Like, that might actually make it worse. If you're getting a transplant of any kind of anything. We have a friend, his wife has just gotten a double lung transplant for the third time, or maybe it was the second or third. I believe it's the third time. And I actually did not know that people got transplants like that so many times. I thought that, you waited for years and you were lucky to get one. Certain things you can get more often. Certain, heart is much harder to find than, say, I guess lungs. I guess lungs are easier to get as a transplant, or at least,
Yeah.
Anyways, so
this one was a kidney for a woman, and she was, I guess, the donor was ready and everything, and she could not get it, because she could only get a certain thing, and I think that's just crap. Colorado's just turning into this place of a Smurfville, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I thought, Colorado has Aspen, right? But that was pretty much the kind of the more fluffy area. Wasn't Colorado?
Yeah. I'm more south of that, and it's totally different than up north. We're much more have our heads together than up north, I believe. So,
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, my opinion on it is I think, why is that even a factor? I could see it for like going into a place or something, but that doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say one more thing or whatever. There's a certain person with a very big nose from down under that got, or she resigned. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. Did you hear about that?
Now,
she has a very big nose. I just didn't want to say any names.
Go ahead.
From
and
down
say
under.
Go ahead.
And
Go ahead
she's
and say
from Australia. And she resigned.
Go ahead and
she
say
resigned. She was one of the authoritarian, totalitarian people or whatever. And I actually don't remember her name, but she resigned, I think, yesterday or the day before.
Dex,
she has a really big nose.
Dex, do you know who he's talking about?
I'm pulling it up now. So it is Gladys Berejiklian, which was the leader of the most populous state in Australia.
So what did you look up to find her? Big nose lady?
I just looked up Australia resigns.
Oh, okay.
I didn't bother with the facial features, but yeah.
Can you post a picture? I gotta see if that Oh, I guess you didn't look by that. I thought you were gonna get like Blossom or something.
Well, her face comes up if you search it. So just Australia resigns, hit news, and it's there.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, no, there's all sorts of things. There's all sorts of resign. There's people in the 3-letter agency that starts with an F and ends with a DA.
Yep.
They resigned right after the public meeting of 9 hours where everybody went over a bunch of stuff and went over a bunch of studies. And then all of a sudden people are like, maybe I don't want to be a part of this or have my name anywhere attached. So again, yeah, lots of crazy stuff. What else is going on right now is I have friends that have disappeared in the last week, but only on, they're still there in real life. It's just on the computer. Everywhere you can find them on the computer, they're just gone. Because
Yep.
right now everybody is getting wiped like an afterthought. So
Exactly. I really appreciate the time and everything. And I was reading a book, and I actually I seen a video of a man who wrote 1984. His name is Orwell, and I believe at the end I was watching this video, and he said that the only way this can be stopped is with you, and that just really stuck in my mind. And I think that that's really true. That it's up to us to straighten everything out that's going wrong with this world.
Well, I think that's absolutely correct. The problem is, actually, you know what people would need to do is they need to do old school grassroots, actual in-person flyers. This is how people need to get back to flyers and putting out meetings and saying, hey, be here on the 4th. Everybody hammering up a poster saying be there on the 7th, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody depends on having a group for it. The problem is You're
exactly right.
You do a group for it on FB or any of these platforms, they'll either delete it before it gets any kind of traction, or if you do have one, they'll bring the media, they'll bring theories, they'll make it look like crap. They'll turn it around into something it's not. So, people need to go old school. I got into all sorts of different kind of crazy stuff because somebody on the street of downtown Seattle handed me 2 hand-burnt DVDs, and they were 2 documentaries from AJ about all of the things wrong with September of 2001. And it blew my mind, and it opened up my mind. And ever since I was just like, there was so much more to it. And then after that, it goes, well, if they're capable of possibly doing something like that, you never go back to sleep. So I think people should
some people
go old school.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm done.
No, I was just going to say, that's what I thought people often ask me. Well, what do you expect us to do? And I said, the only way we can do it is in the bars, the taverns, in the town square, like they did in the old days. And because if we do it any other way, they're going to, the powers that be would catch on or whatever. And, that's all we can do is start at our local level. And, now they're going after parents and stuff for a certain mandate, and that's not right. I just think, at some point it's going to snap. And, I hope it doesn't, but I think it's going to get pretty ugly.
Well,
I hope not.
Even if that was the case, what would happen is social media would find out, because guess what? Look at what face crooks are doing, right? They're telling people, hey,
exactly.
Do you have a friend that is too prepared, right? So that friend doesn't have to be on Facebook. They can go and click on that link and report somebody who's not even on Facebook or not even the real friend. It even says neighbors.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So then all of a sudden, you before you even get anything started, it's done or finished because they'll end up tarnishing the leader of it or something. They'll say the leader of it will come out, and then they'll say, oh, well, you owe this or you owe that, or they'll end up. I could see them totally taking somebody down, arresting them and saying something's on their computer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the kind of stuff that they have done to enemies of the state. And now the new enemies of the state is anyone that doesn't agree with the corporate, basically the corporate rule.
Exactly.
Oligarchy.
Totally.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. And, that's what I was just thinking exactly, what you're thinking right there is just like, what do we do? I just hope that it just doesn't get ugly, if you know what I mean.
Well, Anthony,
I really hope it don't.
Anthony,
I think it's going to be ugly.
We're out of time. Thank you for calling tonight, and I appreciate you. And it's your first time call. Don't
Okay.
make it your last, okay?
Okay, I appreciate it, Marv. Thanks.
All right. You have a wonderful night. It was nice meeting you, and thanks for calling. That was Anthony from Colorado. Obviously, people in Colorado, also a lot of change. There's a lot of states that are changing now. On the edge of a face-off, China warns U.S. amid tension over Taiwan. It seems like every day, but now things are actually changing. Yesterday, there was the largest incursion ever. 57-something planes went into their space. By the way, I survived. Will you? Thank you for your support. Nice screen name there, but nobody will be able to call you out. Yinzer Prepper, thank you. I was part of the army being reduced by Obama, Barack. I was 2.5 years into my first term and got the boot for being 10 pounds overweight. They really did that? Man, if they did that to the police force, we wouldn't have a police force. Open House, Texas, Americans have been coming out against President B. I got that one. And then over on D-Live, thank you so much. Everybody that has popped in and support independent media. Jammer1, again, thank you. MRSA1, we have, of course, Divine 1122, the Recalcitrant, Blowtorch Barbie. D-Frustrated says, time to remember the truth, be childlike. We're effing effed, I think. And then Scooby-Doo, right? Hop and sin. If you are a donor, remove yourselves immediately. Bruce Leroy, thank you. Lurker1, again, Tabby Gal, or Tabby Cat, thank you. And thank you for popping in. So, with this whole thing that's happening, it says, as President B and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping ostensibly agree to abide by the Taiwan agreement, the Chinese party is warning that the militaries currently swarming Taiwan are teetering on the edge of a face-off. Tensions are ratcheting up as China's People's Liberation Army planes violated Taiwan's airspace 149 times over the past week, setting a record, of course, including 56 flights on Monday. And the U.S. has stepped up naval operations with the allies in the South China Sea, a challenge to Beijing's territorial claims over the territory. It says the State Department called the flights risky and destabilizing on Sunday and urged China, which believes the island a rogue province and part of its territory, to stop its provocative military activity. Taiwan's Defense Minister Chui Ku-chang said Wednesday that the situation is, quote, the most severe it's been in 40 years since I've enlisted, and predicted China will be able to mount an invasion in 4 years. So, by the way, one of our main people actually said that in 3 years. This gentleman's saying 4 years. It says by, and this is weird, it, of course, lines up to 2025. What have I said? And I call out every time we see the number 2025. It says, by 2025, China will bring the cost and attrition to its lowest. It has the capacity now, but it will not start a war easily, having to take many other things into consideration, he said. But President B insisted to reporters on Tuesday that he and Xi have agreed to comply with the Taiwan agreement. It says, we agree we will abide by the Taiwan agreement. That's where we are. And we have made it clear that I don't think he should be doing anything other than abiding by the agreement, the president said when asked about Chinese-Taiwanese relations. It says a conversation Biden referred to is apparently the 90-minute call he had with Xi on September 9th, in which they reiterated the need for peace and stability in the region and discussed ensuring that competition between the two countries does not veer into conflict. Okay, one thing that I wish we could demand is, Dex, would it not be amazing if we could demand that we hear the entire uncensored call between JB and their president? Now, Xi, I don't know if he speaks any English. I'm sure he speaks some, but they probably use a translator, right? So JB sits on the phone, it's translated, and then it goes to Xi, and then it goes back and forth.
Wouldn't that be some transparency if we actually were able to hear that?
Well, not only that, and like to hear the tone that he's talking in, and to hear if there's anybody in the background telling JB what to say, or if it's somebody else saying it to the translator and then the translator says it. You know, is it an actual call between JB? Is he sitting there talking to somebody like somebody would just talk to their mom? Does he have a list? Does he have a piece of paper in front of him with check marks, let's hit this, now let's talk about that. I want to know, and then is it heated? What is the tone? It would be one thing if it was truly like that we all chose to put this person into this position to kind of take over for us. But I think most people realize that, nobody chose anybody recently. So it's almost like I think we should know, especially when it's with our adversary. What the hell did they really talk about? And what's crazy is they'll put out a transcript. When it's bad, they'll put it out. But what about when it's just regular? Is it top secret?
Well, of course they're going to say it is, right? They're going to say that that's not, for public information. But, the other interesting thing, though, Xi Jinping does speak some, but he's not very fluent English. So he could probably understand some of what's being said to him and pick up on that. But he probably would be using a translator for full clarity.
I just wonder, I wonder what the tone is. I wonder how they're actually talking to each other. Obviously, it's with the translator, right? But I would love to hear, they'll put it out if it's negative. What if there was nothing that is top secret in that conversation, why don't they make it available? If there's nothing top secret, or make the parts that are not top secret, that are not crucial to the national security, say it's, what if it's a clip of JB saying like, hey, how are you doing, G? And then G going, how are you doing? Just little stuff like that. Or a video of it so body language experts could look at how JB is. Because we don't know what's really happening here. We get fed through media and they tell us what supposedly happened. There's no transparency in any of it. We never find out what's really said. Ever. If anything, we'll get a transcript of somebody else who listened to the true conversation or whatever and then translated and transcripted it. It's BS. NASA will launch its mission to deflect an asteroid from hitting Earth in November, agency says. Okay, so Dex, it's kind of funny because that kind of lines up with Israel News Live.
Well, no, they're launching in November. They didn't say it's going to hit in November. Let's make sure. The headline is kind of interesting to read.
How long does it take to get to its target? Do we know? It says known as the... Okay, so DART. We've talked about DART many times. They were supposed to launch in like April or something like that, right? It will probably say here. It said NASA said on Monday that its mission to deflect an asteroid in deep space using a spacecraft is targeting a late November launch. Known as the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, mission, the U.S. Space Agency will send the DART spacecraft to a pair of asteroids, the Didymos binary, at 1:20 a.m. Estimated on November or Eastern on November 24th aboard SpaceX Falcon 9. It says DART will smash in to one of the two asteroids known as Didymoon at roughly 13,500 miles per hour on October 2nd, 2022. If you want to get into symbology, man, what the heck is that? October 2nd, 2022. What do you think, Dex? We've talked about all of the different things that have gone on now. We knew about this, and they said that they were going to launch it months and months ago, and then there was only like 2 windows, right?
Well, yeah, and it sounds like, they're needing to capture this window so they can actually perform this test. I think, part of this test is to, hit one of the 2 that are flying together, and then they can measure, obviously, how much were they able to move it, and was it all, obviously, if they're successful, they won't necessarily be flying together anymore. One will have a new trajectory. and I guess they could determine how well this type of plan of attack actually works or not.
So, but wouldn't this only be for double asteroids? Like, this is what I don't understand. Are they going to do two different tests on two
This is
different?
more of a test, right? I think the way I would look at this is because there's a double, you've got two side by side or really close to each other following the same trajectory. So if you knock one off, you can easily start to measure how much it moved away. It's not necessarily that this is the...
But aren't they gravitationally somehow they're spinning? Doesn't that make a difference because they're actually pulling at each other?
They're probably too small to make much of a difference to one another as much as the gravitational pull of other larger objects like planets would do.
I'm just curious, how are they still together, right? Are they two bullets that were shot out at the same direction and nothing has stopped them so far? They've never hit anything. They've never had resistance. Or I was under the impression that these were kind of spinning around each other. So
they're probably just left over from some other, collision of, matter that caused a breakup, and these things have just been flying together. Kind of like the tail of, a comet is full of debris. It's all flying together in the same direction.
Some theorize that Didymos, that they are not telling the exact truth about the actual trajectory of it, and that this one is an actual kind of trying to deflect it, or that it's not coming on this time around, but in 10 years or 12 years or 100 years or something, it's going to. Some say that this is a test to do this because they do know about a different one that is headed our way. What do you think? Put it in the comments down below. It says, of the two asteroids, Didymoon is the more likely to hit Earth, given there are more space rocks its size that NASA and the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies have yet to observe. DART will be the first demonstration of the kinetic impactor technique, which involves sending one or more large high-speed spacecraft into the path of an asteroid to change its motion. That would be, of course, a kinetic impact, right? It says NASA considers any near-Earth object as potentially hazardous if it comes within 0.05 astronomical units, or about 4.6 million miles, and measures around 460 feet in diameter. According to the U.S. Space Agency, there are just over 25,000 NEOs, but more are waiting to be discovered. So this is, again, NEAs, PHAs, and NECs. This says, on October 1st, NASA said that the Cube satellite, or the CubeSat, will accompany DART, was ready for installation. The CubeSat weighs 31 pounds and measures roughly the length of an adult's hand, the agency said. So it's about this big, right? It says DART is the first part of NASA's asteroid defense strategy, designed in collaboration with the European Space Agency to protect Earth from a possible impact of a hazardous asteroid. Planetary defense is really about the present solar system and what we are going to do in the present. Now, Dex,
wouldn't you think something with a little more mass would be necessary to move something off of its path? I guess that's part of this experiment, but I think I would have, if I told you needed to kick in a steel door, would you want something the size of your hand, or would you want some mammoth-sized wrecking ball that is going to kick that door in?
No.
Right?
Well, so CubeSat is something that's going to attach to it or go with it to feel it, right? The DART is separate from the CubeSat. So the CubeSat, it says it's going to accompany it. So the actual impactor here. Okay, so Dex, like I said, the whole Israeli News Live and the several people that are out there saying that there may be an impact in November. The only part here is that some may theorize that maybe this does line up. Maybe it's actually going to hit in November. Or watch, again, it's not. But here's what people are going to theorize. That this is actually being launched as a last-minute thing, and they wouldn't tell us if something was to hit. say there was something heading our way and this was the last ditch effort and they're going to fire it at it right before it hits. So if we do have something happen, like if this thing was going to hit, we would know by November, right? If it hits and causes mass damage of everything. I guess it's kind of crazy because now they have military all over the place. They have National Guard. They have all the containers are out to sea instead of in. It's almost like, we've all talked about the theory of, possibly not having these containers in the ocean for a minute. What if they're not putting more stuff in the ocean because they know that the ocean's about to be crazy wild from an asteroid hitting it and they don't know when or where? So there's just a crazy theory out there. What if the dart was actually hitting one that they know is going to hit Earth, and they're going to try to minimize it? What if it's actually a nuke accompanied by CubeSat that's going to, maybe they know it's going to hit. It's not going to kill the world, but it will cause mass destruction. Maybe the previous launch that they did, they go, oh, well, we missed it this time. We can get it, and this time it's going to hit or something, or this is their last chance. Now, I know that this isn't going to hit now or whatever, but again, there's always the theories out there because you never know. They would never tell you if it was going to hit. And when we do have the scenario of a meteor hitting Earth, they will never tell us. They're never, ever going to tell us right before. They're not going to. People would loot the streets. People would take each other's lives. People would steal each other's. I mean, people would take their neighbors' TVs. They would walk right in and take people out. I mean, like, it would be hell on earth if we knew the entire planet was about to be destroyed. Dex, do you think they would tell us the truth if something was going to hit?
Only if they knew they had enough time to make a difference. If there was no way that anything would change, they would never tell us.
Okay, so do you remember in the last 6 months how many things we've now covered? They've done all these simulations. They did a simulation in New York. They did a simulation saying that we for sure know that if we had one 6 months out or even a year, even if we had a year of advanced knowledge, we would not be able to stop something. Do you guys remember this? Dex, do you remember?
Yeah.
What was this study? Says even with notice, we couldn't stop an asteroid. Let's see if we can find. And by the way, all of this stuff has happened in the last couple of years, including the Sunspot Observatory, the strange close down, how they evacuated the area and questioned everybody that lived around if they knew the guy and if talked to him. NASA simulated May 1st, 2021. In a NASA simulation of an asteroid impact, scientists concluded they couldn't stop a space rock from decimating Europe. Which, by the way, the current mission they're doing is in partnership with the ESA, the European Space Agency. And then June 21st, 2018, NASA has updated its plans to deflect potentially hazardous earthbound. In the last 3 years, this is, by the way, this is months after the Hawaii false missile alert. This was around the same time as Space Force was put into play. Don't panic. Scientists are practicing for a killer asteroid. All of this stuff in the last couple years. Apophis asteroid will not hit Earth for 100 years, NASA says. Will not for 100 years. So it will hit in 100 years? That sucks. What we would do to actually stop. It's like, and then 8 days ago, by the way, this is another thing. 8 days ago, one of the largest asteroids ever seen is heading our way right now. All the different ones now, and then we have all of the meteors quadrupling, the sightings of them, like we're heading into something. Basically, it backs up everything that we might be headed through kind of an asteroid field or something, right? This is what people like Stephen Banoon and Israel News Live and all of these other people have been saying for a long time. So who knows? Maybe something is on its way. All right, and then Dart. Let's get our next caller on the phone. It looks like we have Kevin, another first-time caller, this time from New York. Let's get Kevin from New York. You can come in right now. And then thank you, Karen W., for going over to PayPal during the show. Rhonda B., thank you for your massive support over there. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $20 PayPal. I appreciate that. Joanna H., thank you, and thank you. Everybody that has gone over to PayPal in the last week, I appreciate you guys. Cynthia Lynn, thank you for your support last night. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for going above and beyond. Again, Gone Girl, Amy R., top supporters over the last year. Thank you so much. Thank you, Veteran Steve, EOD, Vet, all of the other top supporters. Thank you guys for being on that list multiple times. Lisa K23, thank you. And then over on D-Live, again, thank you, everybody. Hopkinson, One Out B, Angela. I always see Scooby-Doo do right in there. Con Queso, Blowtorch Barbie, Recalcitrant, Chewy Weather. And then Cab 7 Ben, thank you. If you guys haven't checked out Cab 7, make sure to go over and give him a follow on D-Live. He just subbed again for probably a year and a half straight. He just comes by, supports, and then leaves. Blessings, y'all. Be safe and be prepared. Rapture soon 2020. I agree with that. All right, let's get...
Adam, Kevin is live.
All right, perfect. Kevin, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Good. Your phone's such good quality, I couldn't hear you live. So what's going on? You're talking about tribulations here.
Okay. First of all, just want to say, really like your show. I've been watching it for quite a while. I'm a first-time caller. Just happened upon the show tonight and decided, you know what? Let me give them a call and give them my point of view and take of what we feel, the people that I'm involved with here, are in belief that we are in the fourth year right now. We've just entered into the fourth year of the 7-year tribulation. Now, when I say that, I don't want the people that are the hardcore religious to just take it from a religious perspective, because there's more to this than just religion. A lot of this is based on what's happening in the world, as well as what's happening in the entire world, as we know, as far as the planetary situation, obviously, and the sun. And what you were talking about before with a possibility of a solar flare, what we believe is there's going to be a major solar flare event at basically at the end of the 7-year period, which correlates. And how this all ties together is everything that's happening. The powers that be, they know this. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are wondering and trying to understand, why are all these things happening? And why does there seem to be this ramping up of things? Almost like a sense of urgency, as if one side is very aware and trying to control everything, whether it's natural resources, people, you name it. I'm sure you're familiar with the Grand Solar Minimum. We're currently in the beginning of cycle 25, and
Which
we're
is
in the
also
second year right now.
After a short
the
cycle,
low.
which was after a 10-year cycle, which was a key, that was kind of a key, a set-off to know that we are in this very special 25th cycle. I think I know where you're coming from, because I have that. So can you explain why this cycle may be something that is unlike any other cycle we've ever seen?
Sure. Well, this cycle is throughout history. If anyone is really into it, there are some people out there, some real brainiac scientists who have done incredible, extensive studies showing the connection between how this cycle is going to ramp up. We've already ramped up beyond what NASA predicted, and which is not a good thing. It's meaning that we're going to have some serious, we've already had some solar flares that if they were Earth facing, the last 3 solar flares that occurred over the last 3 months alone, we would have our grid would have been completely wiped out. We were very fortunate. So the solar flares are ramping up with intensity, and they were saying it was going to peak at 2025. Now they're saying 2024. Okay. Now this goes back to the correlation that I speak of the tribulation period that began August 2017 with the solar eclipse that occurred, which we believe was God's final warning. In September of the same year, there was the galactic alignment, which is part of Revelation 12. And therefore, the following 7-year period leading up to the final solar eclipse, which is going to be May of 2024. And according to the predictions, that October of 2024 is when this galactic event is going to occur. Also, every 12,000 years, there's a major event that affects the entire planet. As well, we're beyond the 12,000 year. We're at 12,900 years. And the same as the Carrington-style event, which should occur every 150, we're beyond that as well. So if you connect the dots, not only with the religious aspect, as well as the astrological, and the solar aspect, there's more to it, and it makes a lot more sense. Now, China, I have friends in China. China is in big trouble right now. Throughout history, China dynasties have failed, and the correlation of the majority of their failures also goes along with grand solar minimums and their inability to feed their people. There's been massive flooding in China that's been unreported in this country. The infrastructure is being devastated from all of the issues. 20 out of 31 provinces in China are having power and electricity problems as we speak. China is definitely going to attack Taiwan. They're not going to wait 4 years to attack Taiwan. They can attack Taiwan tomorrow if they wanted to. They're going to test JB, and JB is not going to be able to do anything. They're definitely going to do that. And the fact that they're so desperate right now for coal and energy, their coal prices are going through the roof in China. This winter is going to be brutal due to the grand solar minimum. This last winter was bad, especially in Europe and China. This is going to be even worse. So people have no idea, but as all these things come together, there's going to be such a major effect financially on China that they're going to start making moves to try to secure what they need just to feed their people. And like I said, if you look throughout history, China has always had dynasty failures during grand solar minimum periods.
Yeah, because it also affects the way that part of the Earth, how farming goes, how everything. I mean, it affects the whole planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're right now, their agriculture has been hit hard, the regions especially where they grow a majority of their food. Again, the American media will not show any of this. They refuse to show any of this. You can't at this point take, the joke is they used to say, believe half of what you see with your own eyes and 10% of what you read or hear. And it's probably even less than that now. So what the media is telling you at this point, believe none of it. I mean, you'd be a fool to take what they're saying as gospel. It's just, at this point, it's so obvious that the message that's being put forward, I mean, our media is no better than the BBC, which is a government-controlled media outlet, and no better than the CCP's government-controlled media outlets. They're essentially all on the same page. The powers that be know that something is coming. They know something very bad is on the horizon. And this is an event, so they these little stories about, asteroid this and that, these are all deflective stories, really, to take away from the reality that, like I said, October 2024, that's going to be the time period where something really bad happens to this planet. And trust me, it's not going to be one. It's not going to.
How else would you get the entire world to agree on something? I mean, it was like every president of every country from Sweden to Norway, whatever else. If you actually go on the official story, it's like none of these presidents actually had data to go off in the beginning to make all these decisions. So somebody had to be pulling strings with some sort of thing. There must have been something behind closed doors. You know what's even crazier is if you look at when that submarine accident happened, all of the countries went into these emergency meeting, the Cobra meeting in Europe. Russia went to their thing. Right. China went to, our vice president at the time turned around the plane, and they all went to an emergency meeting. And then they said that those men that caught fire in that submarine, that they died averting a planetary catastrophe. Just kills me still. Did they find out something about this, or what do you think?
Right. From what I've heard on that topic, that some people think that the people actually went rogue on that submarine and something else went down. And so that's why they panic. That's why, because why else would these people go into panic mode if they didn't think that maybe something really bad was about to happen? And
you mean they might have tried to launch a nuke? Do you think maybe they tried to launch a nuke, like they were some rogue third party or something?
It's very possible. Anything's possible in that type of situation.
Maybe half of
anybody who knows
maybe half of the crew tried to mutiny, take over it, and the crew that died that are heroes killed the half that was trying to launch. Who knows?
Very possible. It's very possible. I don't be surprised if you see a false flag event, a 9/11 nature occur in the next couple of months, leading up to especially this winter season. It's going to be a brutal season. Even again, things that I look into, Farmer's Almanac, 85% accuracy. They're saying this winter is going to be worse than last winter. So now, people already are panicking.
Remind you, Kevin, try to say Fantastic Freddy. That one word can get a whole channel taken up.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's hard to go. It's hard to remember every. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. I would think closer than that, probably in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. And don't be surprised. And that's why I say this whole, what people have to understand, too, about Taiwan. Taiwan, used to be a part of Japan, actually, originally. Then kind of broke away from that and went on their own. And they make all of the really high-end computer and microchips and processors. China builds trinkets, basically. Taiwan is the one who builds all of the really high-end stuff that our country relies on and the world relies on. So it kind of makes perfect sense that China wants to put them back in their little pocket and have them. And Australia also is another one that's kind of having an issue with China as we speak. And it's funny because China got mad at Australia for looking into the you-know-what that happened a year and a half ago, and they got upset, so they banned them from selling their coal. And Australia has the best coal in the world, and they have a lot of it. Well, now all of a sudden, China's changed their tune because they're running out of energy right now, even to power parts of their country. And they've decided to now accept Australian coal once again. So the fact that they would even do that shows they're having serious power infrastructure issues because of all the massive flooding that's occurred, going unreported, and people, they're serious. They're having blackouts, rolling blackouts throughout China. I have friends who live in Shanghai. I have friends who live in Hong Kong, and it's unbelievable what's going on over there. And the media is not reporting it. So
we actually did report
these
that,
are all
by the way.
things.
We did report about the
Right.
rolling blackouts, the power issues.
Oh,
But I've never seen
Huge.
anybody else talk about it.
no, and they won't talk about it because, again, it's at this point, if it's not agenda-based, the media is not going to report. So essentially, they're shadow banning the truth and cherry-picking the stories that they want to put out there. And they love to, put certain stories in the forefront and use those as deflection. And it's very unfortunate, but the situation that we find ourselves in right now is very dire. And I feel bad for a lot of people because I'm 55 years old, and I've been around, and I've seen it, and I've seen how it's gotten just worse and worse and worse. I thought it was bad in the 80s. I mean, it's like a cakewalk compared to how things are now. Just the way the government is here, even trying to clamp down on people's ability to gather and speak. They know something's on the horizon, and when it goes down, they're going to have to try to contain people. So it looks like they're trying to get ahead of it. The only way I could imagine why they would be doing what they're doing. Only time will tell. But I appreciate you taking my call and letting me speak my mind, and I look forward to watching the rest of your show. Have a great night.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and I appreciate your call. And again, great. I'm glad that somebody's paying attention. Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin from New York. Did you like that call? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. We always, positive comments, please. Just remember, if you go by the same rules that we go by, this thing can stick around. All right, Dex, can you talk about, I guess some of the stuff. One of the things we can actually show here, that the White House apparently has made a kind of a set.
Yeah, it's across the street. Like, instead of using the White House, we can use a set built across the street. And I don't know why.
And they have a TV or a projector that basically shows the Rose Garden. But, first of all, right now, I don't know if the letters actually show up on that like a TV, but it's like the idiocracy, right? Where, it's like, whose idea was it to have our prez sit in front of like an advertisement or something, like Build Back Better? I don't know if that's actually on the screen, but it seems like something like he could put messages behind there like a TV host. I thought this was Bob Barker for a second when I scrolled past it. Resume. But again, it's like the digital projection window of B's White House set shows flowers in bloom in the Rose Garden. The set was constructed across the street from the actual White House in the executive office building. You could unpack that a couple things. It's like you could have him, you could think he's there while he's actually not. What's even crazier is somebody posted a picture back when he got a certain thing, and they posted a picture of where it cuts off, and it was like an audience, and it looked like the press corps were sitting to the side of it, and then the wall ended, and that was when he got his thing, right?
Yeah, that was a stage 2. They actually showed the pictures of that being set up as an entire stage, and it was even covered by mainstream media.
I thought that was photoshopped. It was so bad. I was thinking, oh my gosh, somebody like made this on Photoshop to make it look bad. But that was real? Wow. So, I mean, like, what?
Yeah, talk about, deception and the ability to present something digitally or
Wait a second.
in a visual way, right? Is easy in all forms, and we have to be very careful at what we consume. And
wait a second, Dex, do you remember T-Man on a boat? People said, no, that looks exactly like camp blah, blah, blah. But the camera was going like this. The whole place was going like this, and it was floating. Anybody that watched that video, go watch the video. It's over 100,000 views. It might even be 200,000 views now. It shows T-Man speaking, and no matter if it was a gimbal, if it was handheld, there's no way to get the combination of somebody standing the however many feet away without him being on a boat. And people were like, no, that's clearly Camp David, I think, or something, because of the background. The background has the books. Look at this and then look at that and go, well, of course. They make stages. They could make a submarine or a aircraft carrier look like that. At the time, some thought that he might have been under duress or under threat. The next day, he flew back just to do a drive-by and wave to people through a closed window with a mask on. Do you guys remember this? There was something going on. And then he finally came out. I mean, what a bunch of weird stuff.
And hey, Adam, just real quick for everyone else, because we're almost out of time on YouTube. There's less than 3 minutes left. Head over to marfooglenews.com. What we're talking about is the web-only content. It is the rest of the story. It's everything else we can't cover in the show today. Either it's too hot for TV, two-sided, or whatever. Click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down to that title that says web-only content. It's at marfooglenews.com. And by the way, you can always get a direct link to this show in the description on YouTube. It's right below. It's the first link there.
Wow. So the government's even ordering anyone who searches a specific thing. So just watch. Again, if you haven't already signed up for NordVPN, go over and do that. It's just smart. Get a VPN so you're not on your own IP address. I mean, it's not. At this point, everybody needs one. All right, you guys, it is now officially time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you. If you do want to join us, the show will continue live over on Marfoogle Jams, the other live channel. Thank you, everybody, for participating tonight. Thank you over on D-Live to our top supporters. Again, usually the top 2 supporters on both platforms, we end up doing a silly song with their name in it. Scooby-Doo right, it looks like you might be up there. It says, love Marfoogle News, mods, and the Foogle fam. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. If you want to clip, if you want us to clip any one of those calls, please let me know in the comments down below.
Everyone